Happy birthday to us.
From yesterday.
Yesterday was our birthday. As we're recording this on Thursday, the 29th, it's our 2-year anniversary. Tomorrow will be the first day of our 3rd year. Every day is anus tart.
Is what day? Sorry.
What? Every day is anus tart.
What the okay. You'll have to beat that.
Anyway, this is the Friday AI Roundup. Enjoy the episode.
Good news, everybody.
Good news, everyone.
The beginning of our 3rd year. We just celebrated yesterday our 2nd anniversary doing this show.
Yeah.
We should have done some kind of like retrospective, Peter.
Is it my 1.3 month or year celebration?
From when we adopted Johnny.
Get on board today.
Yeah, I joined after a lot of negotiations, a lot of back and forth. My legal team speaking with your legal team. And now it's my legal team as well.
We were very discriminating back then.
Very difficult to get rid of him, unfortunately.
Well, I'm here now forever.
So today's going to be our AI roundup. I'll also just mention while we're here that people should feel free to like and subscribe to the show. We have great conversations in Discord. And I just love my memes from the 90s. But today
we started our sorry.
No, go ahead, Peter.
I was going to say we started talking about thanking our subscribers for subscribing and everybody who's viewing. And it's one of those things I hated doing at the beginning, but looking at the numbers, it actually seems to have made a huge effect by saying thank you. So genuinely thank you, but also sorry we didn't before, I suppose. Anyway. Yeah.
All right. Today's AI Roundup, we've got 5 stories that we will blow through in record time. I mean, this typically is like one of our longer episodes of the week. Because this one and then the last one are always long because then it's really get on our groove. ChatGPT shows promise in detecting phishing sites. Peter, I think you recommended this one.
Yeah, this is something that I thought that is kind of obvious, actually. HelpNet Security is not the I don't know. It's not a site I go to for breaking news, but it's interesting to the story. I think the ability for ChatGPT to recognize patterns and say what something is like when it's like something else and imitate other things, it's going to be good for imitating phishing and detecting phishing. So this is interesting.
Machine learning has been used for this kind of purpose for a very long time.
Very long time.
For a while, it's nothing new. But
I was just gonna say, machine learning generally hasn't been using text, right? Like language. It's been using image recognition, if I recall correctly. Primarily, it could be using text, or maybe uses both. But I'm pretty sure the way we've seen machine learning with anti-phishing and specifically is that it will look for similarities in web pages. So if something is trying to really closely look like Microsoft's, Office 365 login page, then it's very easy to tell. But yeah, Peter, what do you think?
I just think that ChatGPT seems to be a leap up from previous technologies. So it seems to be just better than a lot of things. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how it performs compared to other kind of more traditional forms of machine learning. Weird to say traditional forms of machine learning. I mean, it's not something that is particularly old, but yeah.
Back in my time.
And there's there's tons of different approaches to this. There's some that look at the whole source, some that render an image and then compare it to other images. There's some that just look at the text. There's a bunch of different ways you can approach it. But there's a lot of promise. And, hey, the problem is that there's, from personal experience, I can say that there is this gray area where something looks like a phishing site and it isn't. And it's because the phishing site is almost identical to a real thing, like WordPress login pages or router login pages, things like that. And phishing sites try to look like real sites, so the really good ones are not going to get caught, or they will get caught, or real ones get caught as false positives.
And there are also totally legitimate sites that totally suck. I got a SMS message from a company that I did business with that just was like, click here to pay your bill, and a link. Yeah. Totally sus. I'm like, what? I'm not clicking this fucking link. What are you talking about?
Right.
Every single email from my bank and every single PayPal email I've received could easily have been seen as a phishing link. Like, so often I find myself having to manually check links and link destinations just to see whether is this real or not. But
it's actually before we move on, I'll just say it's such an undervalued, not stressed enough thing to hover a link. Right, to look at the preview URL on the bottom left or wherever it lands, depending on your browser. Like, that is such a habit of mine that any link I'm about to click, I want to know where I'm going. It's not even about phishing; it's just curiosity. Really, it's just a habit.
Until 350 characters down the line, you notice an @ sign and a colon, right?
Right.
Then the whole thing's blown. All right, Google DeepMind CEO says its next algorithm will eclipse ChatGPT. Their big breakthrough is that they're going to build on their and this was a story a couple of years ago, 2016, I guess. Apparently, they had built a Go game bot that could finally beat human Go players for the first time, and so their grand plan for AI, general artificial intelligence, is to just mash them together.
It feels like it's such a no shit. Like, yeah, I bet you will, or want to say that you will, right? Like, I have no doubt that Google's about to drop the newest, hottest album when it comes to AI, but also it feels so classic big tech CEO. Like, oh, we're gonna show those guys. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there was another thing I saw today actually, which isn't in the roundup, but it was about a company called Inflection AI, who've just got $1.3 billion in funding, and which I thought, oh my god, that's a lot of money.
Well earned.
It's an article on Forbes. Yeah, it's an article on Forbes, and the interesting bit around it that I want to mention is that they have this largest AI funding rounds, and it's got a list of, and there's like a bunch. There's 5 or 6, and they have OpenAI with like 10 billion, but a couple of other ones with 2 billion. 1.3, 1 billion. So it's, hey, it's VC and AI.
Yeah, it's good to see this coming out. Like you said, John, obviously they're going to drop something, but it was funny when OpenAI came out with ChatGPT 3 in the first place, and Google and Facebook were both like, this is no big deal. Anybody could have done that. Yeah, but they didn't.
But they did first, and
right.
that they did first in tech and like in business in general is like a classic. People will say it doesn't matter because someone can come along with a better product, and that's true to an extent, right? Like, but no one is calling ChatGPT by its real name when we're talking about using large language models. Like, everyone's going to call it OpenAI's ChatGPT. It feels like it's going to get to a point of Googling something, right?
Yeah,
like, I'm not going to go query the web. I'm going to go Google it.
Yeah, every chatbot now is ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Also,
ChatGPT.
There's a little bit of a like my girlfriend in Canada thing going on here too, because it's like, oh, this is what we're gonna do. It's not ready yet, but trust us. You just haven't seen it yet.
Way better. Yeah.
We're working on it. You'll meet her someday. This one is fun and completely expected, right? People paid to train AI are outsourcing their work to AI from technologyreview.com, the MIT Technology Review. Obviously, this is what's happening.
So, I read a really interesting article that talked about AI training degradation and how we may have hit this already, but what it says is that we're going to hit this this point in AI where it's going to be training itself from other sources, right? Like from other AI sources, and it's just kind of going to devolve or become worse because we're just running out of gas and gas being human created content. Even now, like you go to YouTube Shorts or TikTok, and every fifth video is AI narrated, AI written.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's quite frustrating actually.
There's still a lot of very creative original content being generated.
Totally.
But this is not like AI can't do that. It just consumes what's available, a lot of which is complete shit, and regurgitates it.
Isn't that part of how OpenAI trained ChatGPT anyway? Like they had something as part of the process that they did, which actually took answers that it generated, and then it looked at them to figure out, it used itself to train itself, which is kind of. But this seems like the single most applicable use of AI is to automate this kind of job, where you're just routine scrolling through tons of answers and checking them whether they look good or not.
Yeah, and this is going to the Amazon Mechanical Turk program. So Amazon has this Mechanical Turk program where you can submit work, in bulk batches of jobs, translate these articles, summarize these articles. You'll get paid a couple cents for each one, but you can do 100 of them in an hour. And people are just taking those articles and dumping them into ChatGPT to get those summaries. So it's kind of it's exactly what you would expect. From artisana.ai, Artisana, leading.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Peter. You can introduce it.
Oh no, it's an article that's saying that there's an EU regulation coming out about AI and meant to regulate it, and all the top models. Sounds like a swimsuit magazine. All the top AI models fail it, and even ChatGPT is like 51% or something like this. But what I didn't find out, I did a tiny bit of research here, was what is it failing on, and what are the actual bits it's failing on. The post says it fails, but doesn't really. Oh, is that something I missed? Oh, okay, right. Yeah, I know I didn't catch that bit. Cool.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
I should have gone. Yeah.
So read it. This is good. We're gonna do a story Tuesday about some EU regulation that's not as good. So keep an eye out for that. But generally speaking, EU doing some good work to protect privacy and keep us on track.
Unless it's them.
Should we attack Peter for the
Peter's face says, I am not up for your shit today, John.
EU member nations.
So I am very excited for this.
CNBC reports.
I put it in. I suggested it and voted for it, I think so. Yeah.
From CNBC, AI has a discrimination problem. In banking, the consequences can be severe. So this goes to the idea that I think we've talked about before a couple times even, that AI reflects the biases of its creators, of its training sets, which makes sense. If you think about it, it is designed to optimize a process. And if you train it on a biased process, it will optimize for bias, which is some of what we're seeing here in banking AI.
That's interesting. Is this regarding loans and like mortgages and the automation of approvals and?
I think one of the things they reference is like automating the redlining process to find out where the higher risk loans are. And the thought is, and we saw this, there's a famous case study with, I think it was Amazon. At one point, Amazon was just hiring people so fast they could barely keep up with it. And they wanted to automate the hiring process to remove bias. So they spent a ton of resources creating this AI to handle HR, and turned out it was better at being biased than just doing it by humans. which is what you're finding here, instead of trying to reduce risk.
Yeah.
So in this case, it's not about reduce. So the intent is to in part reduce risk, but also to eliminate bias. Instead, they optimized for bias.
Yep.
I think it's one of those things which is like, I think I made a comment on Discord the other day about how we keep on getting reset in terms of like progress that we're making with societal values. We kind of, there's movements towards being equal and diversity and inclusion and stuff like this, and it seems really positive. And then we get reset back to the same old shit that we were having before. And this just seems another example of it. Like the problem is that AI, when it's trained on models which have kind of biased data sets, has to be corrected somehow because it's reflecting humans, and humans by nature are biased. So it's enhancing that kind of bias. So we have to have some kind of like moderation of it. And it's just not happened at the beginning. And now they're going to have to add it on or update the models or whatever. So the same thing that we've been through with a million other things on the internet.
And we talked about it specifically with AI in the context of moderating the results. If we don't want it to answer specific types of questions, they're trying to just hard code limitations into it to override the training, but it doesn't work. And that's kind of the nature of the AI, right? Like the whole point is that it learns from the data set, and that's what it works with.
Yeah.
So I'm sure people smarter than me will try to figure out how to tweak that, but it's tough.
Well, I think it's sort of understandable that it does that if it's naive. Like if you give a data set to recognize humans and only I don't know what the percentage of the population is black in London, but if only 5 out of 100 faces that it sees are from black people, then it will get better at recognizing white people. And if you don't add something in to say, oh, you need to be more careful about recognizing these, or disregard the color of the skin or whatever, like we do as humans, we tell people it doesn't matter or whatever. It's just a step that doesn't happen at the beginning. We kind of go back to this point where we're like, oh, it's So
yeah, I'm not sure it's that simple though. I mean, John always likes to bring up the example of Tay, who was completely corrupted. You can't release an AI onto the internet and say, here, learn everything you know from the internet, except don't be racist. Well, how do you separate those? Well, you can tell the AI that, but what does that mean? Then you have to train it on exactly what racism is, and you have the same problem.
Yeah.
Do you?
How do you teach the AI what racism is? How do you teach the AI what to avoid, I guess is.
You have to weight the models towards so that they are more fair based on
they have to know, but you have to teach them unfairness.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know.
And then you're back in a situation where
to get into, to be honest.
You're dealing with bias again, because then what's racist and what's not racist? That's a judgment call.
I think ChatGPT is really good for this type of discussion, because with OpenAI, I had to train ChatGPT on everything so that it would know what is bad and what is good. So ChatGPT has been trained on 4chan, for example, where, it's the cesspool of the web, right? And if you want to see racism in plain, on a plain sunny Wednesday, you go to 4chan, and you can jailbreak ChatGPT to tell you racist things and like talk to you in a shitty way. So I feel like it's kind of what I'm getting to is that these models have to be trained on fairness to understand how to be fair. Yeah. All right.
I'm sure this will come up again. Probably. I'm looking at the scan. Do we have it again this week? We might actually have it again this week, but I'm sure by the next time we record, there'll be more of this coming up. Hey, we finished under 20 minutes.
That's good. With plenty of time.
So have a good weekend. We will see everybody on Monday.